Hello, my name is Trydar. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build an Egyptian pylon in Minecraft. Let's get started. So for those of you that are unaware, an Egyptian pylon is the main facade of a temple that they would use. They would generally have two of these side by side with the door in the middle. However, the version I'm going to be showing you here today has the door in the middle of a single pylon, but the door can be deleted from this model and moved to the middle and another pylon built on the other side of the door over there. I'll be showing that in a future full temple tutorial, but in the meantime, what I'm showing you are bits and pieces leading up to that. But if we go over here, we can see that we have the sloping angle in the same angle of the Egyptian pylons. Of course, we have the standard curled cornice up there at the top and the standard Egyptian doorway. And now this one is not a false doorway. You can actually walk through this one. Now here I'm leaving a generous amount of space back here and both inside of the pylon because I assume that you can install some automatic 3x3 piston doors or perhaps some even larger piston doors if you so choose. If you want to, you can also knock this entire thing out and turn this into a nether portal as well, and build some Egyptian pharaoh statues on either side of the pylon there for that. Of course, the tutorial for the pharaoh statues has already been released, so you have that at your disposal. What I'm also going to be showing you here today is how to turn this design into some walls and towers. So if we go back here, we can see what I'm talking about. We have 3 wall segments, and then they're squished into a tower, and then 3 more wall segments coming out the other side here. And of course, if you want to turn the corner, you can do that over here, and you can enclose an entire city this way if you need to. But the design for the tower, this is actually part of the pylon. Because if I go back here and take a look at, do you see this end of the pylon here? Well, if you slice that off and then mirror it, as you see done here, you just take a little slice of the end of your pylon and stick it together. You can make one of these little towers here, which look really nice when used in conjunction with these wall segments back here. So here's one wall segment. I'm going to be showing you how to build that at the end of the video. And here are 3 wall segments placed side by side together. So we have some nice thick Egyptian walls here for you to use, and towers and everything. Of course, the interior fill of this is done of cobblestone, because I assume you're not going to fill these walls in solid if you're doing this in survival. You probably just want to build the outer shell. So with that in mind, I have filled the entire interior solid with cobblestone, like you see done here. And the other materials are going to be only for the shell of the building. The pylon is filled with cobble also. So that will save you quite a lot of time and materials. If all you need to do is build the shell, I think that this project is much more doable in a survival setting, if you so choose. Of course, let's now take a look at the bill of materials. So I'm doing material list for the pylon, but for the tower and the wall segments, I'm not going to do a materials list because it's the same materials as these, but it's going to be the numbers will be completely different. But I have no idea how many towers or wall segments you are going to need to build. So I really can't give you numbers for that. It's going to be less than a full pylon here, though, maybe half for one of the towers. But for a pylon, you'll be needing 2,642 blocks of granite, 1,448 blocks of diorite, 3,330 blocks of bedrock. However, I realize the bedrock is going to be a little hard to come by in survival, so I suggest for that you use cobbled deep slate. Would be a nice alternative. Also, basalt would be an acceptable substitution here also for that material. Now, you'll also need 2,265 blocks of obsidian, but I know that you can get this in survival, but it's difficult to mine. So you may substitute this with a blackstone if you so choose. Any kind of blackstone ought to do. Just a very dark block, something that's darker than the cobbled deep slate, like you see here, because we do have a color gradient between those 2 blocks. And to to fill in the pylon solid, because I know someone will ask, you'll be needing 46,611 blocks of cobblestone, which is why I assume that none of you will actually be filling this in solid and building it as only a shell. So you only need a simple list of materials here, maybe 4 different types of materials, but in varying quantities depending on how many pylons and walls and towers you choose to construct. So the building itself, the pylon, is 65 blocks wide across the front here, 35 blocks long back that way, and 49 blocks tall from down here at the top all the way to the cornice up there at the top. So to begin, we need to lay out a foundation. And first we need to mark out our center line, because this building is symmetrical around the center line, by the way. So if we draw a line through the middle, what we will be building on this side is the same. Just mirror that on the other side of your center line, like you see done here. There's also going to be another one. This building has a 4-way symmetry. So if we take another line and divide it in 2 that way, and they will cross in the middle somewhere around here. One quadrant of this building is going to be the same as the other 3 quadrants. So let me just show you that from the top down. I think you can easily see how that is going to be the case. So let me go out here with now the half slabs, and let's do some counting to site your foundation properly. So here from the corner, we will count for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we want to go in for 3, 3, and what? 1, 2, 3, 5, 13 blocks. And then 1 here, 1 there, and across the front, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that gets us to our center line. And then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all across the base right there. Of course, I'm using the stone slabs here, so you can double check my measurements in case. Very occasionally, I will say a number incorrectly. Not on purpose. It's difficult to do everything when recording. So here from the corner, we want to knock out that one and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 3, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the center there, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 there for that. So the other corner back here, of course, is the same as the one we did at the front, and you just want to go around on your other 4 quadrants and build out that block count like you see there. And in the middle here, we just have the pathway for our gate. So the pathway is just going to be 5 blocks this way, and then it's going to be another 5 across, and then 3 blocks wide all the way through your structure. If you want to make a different size pathway, you can. Now this building is also going to be big enough on the interior here, or if you want to add some side rooms over here as well, you could make this a decent sized base if you needed to. But I will leave that to you. I think I mostly use these for city walls, so I haven't actually added any rooms there for that, although that would be a good expansion of the design for the future. I thought I'd mention. So here, let's start from the corner. So the tutorial is formatted in the following way. We will be doing the foundation at 1 block. The next level will be we will add an additional layer and go up to 2 blocks. And then after that, we will rise for 2 blocks at each phase. So the first phase was 2 blocks. This one will be 2 blocks, and that one over there will be 2, 2, and 2. So that is how this building is sliced up. So let's take a look at now the next foundational layer. So you want to go around your building, and we want to cut back 1 block and add another one. Now, I'm, of course, using the bedrock here, but you should be using, what was it? Cobble deep slate, I think, for that one, or perhaps whatever block you choose to use for this. You could possibly convert this to cobble. Might look okay. But here from the side, we want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then 2, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 13. And then for granite, now the block you should be placing is directly below the half slab, by the way. So if we want to place 2, and then 1 here, and then 3, 4, 5. And then turn the corner, go for 3, and then 1 here, and then just place blocks all the way through the middle to the other side there. We're going to come back here, turn the corner, and counting this one, we have to go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then 2, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 13 there. And of course, remember we have our other center line coming through the long side over here. So let me show you the entire profile from the top down as we go. And I think we can move on to the next phase. In terms of difficulty, I don't think this is going to be all that difficult. So on the sides here, we want to chop out these 2 blocks here and add, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there for that. And then, of course, 2 again, and then I think this was, 13 across the front there. And then you just want to raise up the granite here and the granite and the black stone or the obsidian if you farmed that for that there. And I think you can just see the gateway here. So as we go, remember to just pause and replicate the block patterns that you see on your screen. That's how the tutorial is designed to be viewed. And of course, along the side here, you just want to extend all of that straight up. And do that for the other 3 quadrants, and we will move on to the next phase. So you can see again the slope of the building. We are cutting back a block right here, and you want to place not the bedrock, you don't have bedrock, the deep slate and the obsidian, and then the granite here. And I think you can see that they are shifted over a block on the side here. If you've done my any of my pyramid tutorials, this design motif will be familiar to you. It's the same thing, it's just got a bit of a different slope to it. Of course, here for the doorway, you've got the granite and the obsidian, and here details for the doorway. And you just want to make a 3x3 hole here and just roof it straight over with your deep slate. I would have converted the map to deep slate for that, but I didn't remember to do that before I started recording. But I think it'll be okay. All you need to see is the pattern, really. All right, next phase, you want to extend all of that straight up, but we're taking a little nibble out of the corner there, just like we did down here. You want to do that again up here, and then just stack your materials straight up like you see here. And of course, I'm expecting you to leave all the cobble back there as hollow. Should give you quite a large interior space. Remember to place down torches on the interior to light up your build. Otherwise, you will have a very large unintentional mob spawner. And it might blow up all your hard work. We can't have that happen. And here are details for the doorway. Alright, next phase here. We have our corner now. We went up for 3 blocks here. And now we're cutting back a block. Just like we did below there. And you want to place the block patterns that you see here. We're shifting our granite over a block again. Like so. And now we're using a bit of diorite. Like you see down here. That's probably what, another... I don't think that's 13. It's going to be 1, 2, 3... 11 blocks there for that. And of course, detail for the doorway right here. And then back over here for the corner, you're doing the same thing, just on the shorter side. All right, next phase over here for the pylon. You can see now we're going to be having a repeating pattern on this. Since we get a bit more of it built, I think you will very clearly see the repeating pattern on the sides here. So that will assist you. If you can just get the first couple of phases down, the rest of it will be much easier. But for this phase, I think you're basically extending everything up for 2 blocks, except for here in the middle. For our doorway, and then of course back on the side here. Not too bad. Next phase, you're still extending everything straight up, but we're taking a little nibble out of the corner again. There. And for that side as well, let's take a look at the doorway. There we go. All right, next phase, you can see here for our corner, there's enough of it. From here to here, you can see this is basically a module. So if you shift that up and over, from here to here, you're building another module. And from here to a couple of blocks up there, you will be building yet another module. So everything is just sloped back, just stepped back for a block. On all the 4 corners, just sort of squish it in, like you see done here. And a detail for the doorway. And we can go on to the next phase. So over here, you can see you're building the module again, like I talked about, on the sides and along the front. Fairly easy as far as patterns go. I think this is one of the easiest ones there is. Detail for the doorway. Over here again, next phase, you can see, same deal, except we're stepping it back. So your middle part is getting more narrow with the diorite in the middle there. Along here, and for the doorway, we're finishing off the doorway here just a little bit. Of course, in the middle, we have a palace facade decoration, which is a standard motif that the ancient Egyptians would use. It's a very early design motif. But you can see this in the walls of the pyramid complex of Djoser. Over here, you can see we have the module again, 2 blocks farther up, being stepped farther back. Here at the front, though, we do have a difference. Now you can see we have just this little pattern I'm using as a sort of a pseudo entablature for the doorway. Now, the ancient Egyptian style for this is different because it's much more flatter, but that is because that they would paint these in rather garish colors. But because we can't really make the very subtle and graceful lines with Minecraft blocks, I have made the design a bit more bold on the corners here. Like they do have the edging out on the corners and the cornice, but I made them a lot bigger here in the middle and done them out with a bit more color. So they will look better for us in Minecraft. We're just taking the ancient patterns and we're altering it a bit to suit our needs, but it still has, I think, the structure and the soul of the ancient form. Over here on the side, you can see we got our module again. 3 of those now, well, 3 or 4 stacked up, like you see done here. Just stack up the black blocks in the same pattern here for the entablature over the doorway. Next phase again on the side, you can see the same deal. No surprise there. In the middle, though, we do have our cornice now that we're putting on top of our entablature over our doorway. And you want to make that like so. And I think there should be a block of bedrock. Bedrock, for whatever you're using, is a cobbled deep slate back there for that. Looks like I missed a block for this here, and you just want to divide that out every 2 blocks, starting on the corner here. Done like so, and just squish it into the rest of the pylon. Back here, we have a detail right here, and this sits 5 blocks back from the front there. And it is going to be, what, 1, 2, 3, 9 blocks wide that way. All right, next phase on the corners, same deal. I think you're probably already ahead of me on that. Over here, you can see we got a bit more of the cornice. We build it up a block level and then push it out, like you see done here, and do the banding. And the 1 to 2 block ratio across the front there. And then we want to have the block pattern be this here. And, I don't remember saying that. Was this a section I didn't fill in? I think it is. This is too low down. Okay, for all of this, never mind what I said about this right here. That's a construction gap that shouldn't be there. I think if I probably knock, if I knock some of this out, that's probably visible below here, isn't it? Yes. Okay, that definitely shouldn't be there. Sorry about that. Don't build that. Build this. Of course, this does sometimes happen in ancient structures. They will include things called a construction gap, where they didn't really fill in things all the way, like they should have. Sometimes they would just fill them with sand. Indeed, the Great Pyramid is filled with several construction gaps. It's not just a big heap of fine, precisely cut ashlar blocks laid on top of each other. That's really not how it's made. There are an awful lot of construction gaps inside the thing. They drilled into a couple of them. They found quartz sand inside those. It was really interesting. But of course, you know, the ancient Egyptians, if they had something that didn't really fit together, they would just, you know, kind of squish it together and keep going. So here, details on the side. We want to now extend our granite. Like you see done here, we're getting ready to complete the upper part of our pylon. Here, we want to have just little details at the top here for this little roof, like you see done here. Try and give you a good view of this. Like you see done here. We just have 3 block setbacks on those with the granite there. And we want to have then diorite across the face right there. And that will finish off your doorway, by the way. Next phase over here on the sides, we want to pretty much extend everything up. On the side here, the corners are the same, and across the front, we just do a straight run of diorite, like you see done here. Next phase, extending everything up again. And the corners and the diorite until we reach 5 blocks, I believe. As you can see, we're going up in a 1 to 5 ratio. So all these are generally 5 and then shift over 1, 5 up, over 1, 5 up, and over 1, like you see done here. The corners, again, you want to start building another module here. But it's getting squished together in the middle here with the granite. Well, we've still got diorite across the front face. Over here again, more granite, next phase. The corners are the same, except we're now building another sort of pseudo entablature. This thing down here that we built, we're doing another one of those up here. And you can see we're doing this in a 3 to 3 ratio. You'll have 3 blocks here, 3, 3, 3, 3, and so forth. Across the face there. So let me just show you this from the top down there. And the next phase over here. Over here on the sides, you can see that the entablature is now chopping off the module that we have been building. We want to just turn the corner there on that. And then across the front here, you want to build those like this. All right, next phase, we then want to, this is going to be an easy one. You just want to stack up on top of those your blackstone or your obsidian. I assume you're probably using blackstone for this because of the relative ease to mine that compared to obsidian. I just really like the deep, rich black that obsidian has with the texture and everything. I think it fits really well. Of course, all the blocks we're using here today are, well, except for the bedrock, are ancient Egyptian blocks, the diorite. And the granite, they would always use copious amounts of that. They would also use basalt as well. And sometimes they would use obsidian for things when they had that. They didn't have bedrock, though. I mean, nobody has bedrock, so they didn't use that. They did use limestone, though. They would use an awful lot of limestone. Generally, for temples, they would use sandstone, however. But I really don't like the sandstone color for building in the desert in Minecraft because sand is already that color. I mean, we really need to use something different. Otherwise, your build is, it just looks like the rest of the desert. And you want it to stand out, don't you? At least that's my thoughts when I build these things. That's why I never use sandstone for desert builds. I do use a lot of sandstone for cathedral builds, though, and other things. I do use the block, just not in the desert. All right. You're just extending all that up on this phase here. On the next phase, we're putting on another cornice, like we did for our doorway down there. We're doing that again. But now we're doing it for the entire pylon. Like you see done here, it's just a big rectangle dropped on top there. We'll take a look at the roof behind that in a moment. Like you see done here. Just extend that all across the face. And back here as well, I will show you this from the top down. We're doing the blocks here again in a 1:2 ratio. You can see we've got the 2x2 squares. You just want to put that in the middle there and down below here as well. Now, the ancient Egyptian pylons, they generally have a straight flat roof, but that looked kind of boring. So I made this design to just sort of bring out the textures a bit more for it to look better in Minecraft. So here we want to put on another last rectangle here for the cornice, like you see done there, all the way around the structure. And then behind that, we want to have this pattern here with these blocks here. I'll show you that from the side here. From below, we can get a good view of the whole thing now. And let's take a look at the entire thing here from the top down. All right, so once you have done that, the only thing left to do, I think, is to make one last rectangle of, well, you're not using bedrock, you're probably using what, called deep slate? I keep forgetting the name of that. It's all the new blocks. You want to just make a big rectangle like that there on top of that there. And once you have done that, your Egyptian pylon will be complete, at least my interpretation of a cool looking Egyptian pylon. Like so. And now that we have done that, we're not done though. We've got to go back and take a look at those wall segments that I showed you. We'll do a couple of measurements on that and quickly take a look at the phases on there because they're very simple segments. I've already showed you how to do the towers. All you do for those is you just slice off the end of the pylon and then stick those two back together. All right, here we are back at the wall segment. So I'm going to be showing you one wall segment. So the dimensions for this, I did not write down. Well, let's just count them out anyway. So it's going to be what? From the corner here, we want to place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. For that there, is that 10? Yeah. and then 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right there for that. So 6, 2, 10, 2, and 6. To get across the front there, of course, the back is the same. The depth for this is going to be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 23 blocks long on that side there. So I'll just show you that from the top down, and that is going to be your foundation for this. And the height, I should just go ahead and measure that. It's going to be what? 1, 2, 3, 34 blocks high there, I believe. Yep, definitely 34. Okay, so on the next phase over here, we are doing the same thing. We're just cutting back a block right here. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1. And then 1, 2, 3, 10, and then 1, and then 5. Like you see there, of course, the back is the same as the front. Next phase, you just want to raise that up for 2 more blocks. Next phase after that, you want to do the same thing, except push it back. And now use your obsidian and granite, or your black stone and granite. For that next phase, extend it 2 blocks upwards. Next phase again, 1 block for the height of 5, like we did over there. We would set everything back 1 block for every 5 blocks we went up, and the walls are done in that same pattern. So you can see here, you're just setting that back, and you're working in some diorite now across the face. And then you're extending it up here. For that, you're extending it up here for a total of 5 blocks. And then 2 blocks up and 1 block back. And then 2 blocks up again. A total of 5 here, and then set it back 1 block again. Same deal again, 2 blocks up here for a total of 5. And then on the next phase, we now do the same thing with granite, except we want to do these 2 blocks here forward like that there. The next phase from that, you want to do the same thing, except to make it out of your black blocks, like you see done there. Next phase, we are putting on a sort of a pseudo cornice here. Just a straight run of blocks across the front face, like there. And again, you want to extend that up and then put a flat run of blocks on top of that. And this is the surface that you can walk on top of your wall up here. So I will show you that pattern here. Very easy pattern. And then here again, you will finish your wall segment by just on top of this cobblestone here by placing some of these blocks here for extra detail. Now, to my knowledge, the ancient Egyptians didn't invent crenellations. They may have had something similar. But in general, most of the walls I've seen all have flat tops. If they did have those, then they've been lost in the intervening centuries. Perhaps in one of the Nubian fortresses, they would have had some of those. But anyway, once you have done that, well, one of your wall segments will be complete. Of course, I assume you're just building the shell, so you can build the shell on this side, and then your walkway, and then your shell on the other side. And if you want to, as you can see, you can move out the middle here if you want a bigger walkway, or if you want a smaller walkway, you can move in the other side like that there. And in that way, with piecing together the pylons for your gates, and then the half of a pylon for your towers over here, and then building however many wall segments you need that you think looks nice, you can piece together your city in that way. And if you're familiar enough with the patterns here, you can try and place the foundations first and then trace out everything as you go, or you can just build them all individually as you go as well. Generally, when I'm building these, I just copy and paste them with MC Edit. So it's easier for me to use trial and error to get the wall patterns right. But if you're going to be doing this, I would suggest probably quite a bit of planning before you start throwing down all these blocks, since this is going to be quite a lot. So this completes the Egyptian pylon and walls and towers tutorial. I hope you have found it interesting, and it should serve you well in any future Egyptian build or city that you want to construct. Remember, the world is available for download in the video description, so you can come here and take a look at all of this for yourself. And I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.